All right, gunshots, 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 gunshots. Yo, this one's about Sean P. Diddy Combs and Shine's relationship. We're going to go back to the shooting, back with him and J-Lo and the homie Wolf, and we're going to run all this back, and we're going to look into this whole relationship. So sit back, watch this whole thing, and I'm going to break down what Shine is now saying after Diddy's locked up. Shine is saying that Diddy ruined his life. Let's get this started. If you subscribe, hit the notification button. If you're not subscribed, hit the notification button and subscribe. You already know what time it is. All right. All right, unique Mecca audio, man. I'm here. We're gonna sit back. We're gonna play this joint. But I'm gonna go to the other scene, and I want y'all to know what time it is that we're gonna try and get this thing done right, man. This is a special preview from Law and Crime. So sit back, enjoy the ride, and just know that we doing what got to be done. Let's move this over here real quick, and let's get this thing started. All right. See, I run this joint on my own. Let's get this thing moving, man. All right, so let's play the tape.
Let's go back to the beginning. In 1998, Shine was freestyling in a Brooklyn barber shop when he was discovered by hip-hop producer DJ Clark Kent, who was working on Biggie's posthumous album, Born Again. The DJ took Shine to Bad Boy Studios, where Combs, who was then going by Puff Daddy at the time, signed him on the spot to his record label. Combs took the budding rapper under his wing, and at the time, he was on his way to having a thriving rap career. But everything would change just a year later. In the early hours of December 27th of 1999, Puffy, his then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez, and a 21-year-old Shine went to a nightclub in Times Square. While there, an argument over a spilled drink broke out between Puffy and a man named Matthew Allen, aka Scar, a Brooklyn gangster, who reportedly wasn't impressed by Puffy boasting about his money. According to former NYPD detective Derek Parker, the then Puff Daddy was throwing money around and acting like a big shot, and Scar felt disrespected by his antics. Parker said after words were exchanged between Scar and Puffy, bullets began to fly.
All right, so let me break this down. This is what happened, right? We in the club, Diddy's a rapper, he's a college kid turned intern, and you got a gangster, like Scar. So Scar looking at like, yo, dude, you faking. You're just a college kid. What is you doing? You know what I mean? So Shine not impressed. Scar not impressed. He throws a stack of money in Diddy's face. Rock. Like you ain't about nothing. Get up out of here, man, and stop faking. And then all heck broke loose, and they said that's when bullets started flying. Now let's move on.
3 bystanders were shot and injured inside the nightclub. After the shooting, Puffy, along with his girlfriend Jennifer Lopez, his bodyguard Anthony Wolf Jones, fled the club. They later took police on a chase with Diddy's driver, blowing through several red lights. When they were eventually pulled over and when police searched the vehicle, they found a 9mm handgun in the trunk. Combs, Lopez, and Jones were all arrested. Lopez was released after 14 hours in custody. Diddy was indicted on the charges and faced charges of criminal possession of an unregistered gun and attempted bribery for allegedly trying to get his bodyguard Anthony Jones to claim the weapon was his. So it would be the music mogul, his bodyguard Anthony Jones, and Puffy's protege Shine who would all go to trial. Prosecutors say it was Matthew Scar Allen, Combs, and Shine who all drew guns and claimed that Shine shot 3 times into the packed nightclub. Witnesses testified Scar started the argument with Combs and said he threatened to kill Shine. Shine, meanwhile, said he acted in self-defense, as he maintained he had fired into the air and didn't believe that it was the bullets from his gun that injured the bystanders. At the trial, a ballistics expert testified that the 3 injuries may have been caused by a second gunman. The expert testified that at least 1 injury may have been caused by a .40 caliber weapon, and .40 caliber shell casings were found on the floor, and Shine had a 9mm. In 2001, Combs and his bodyguard Anthony Wolf Jones were acquitted on all charges, and while Shine was acquitted of attempted murder, he was convicted on charges including assault, reckless endangerment, and criminal possession of an illegal weapon. The Bad Boy rapper was sentenced to 10 years in prison, but released in 2009 after 9 years. After Shine's release, he was deported to Belize for being a non-citizen felon. The following year, he moved to Jerusalem, where he changed his name to Moses Michael Levi. Then 3 years later, Shine returned to Belize and began his political career, now elected as the leader of the opposition in Belize's House of Representatives. During a press conference last week, the rapper, now politician, was asked about his former mentor in the wake of his sex trafficking arrest. Shine told reporters, "This is someone who destroyed my life." He went on to say, "This is someone who, in a sense, testified against me when I was on trial. I was defending him, and he turned around and called witnesses to testify against me."
Yo, you know how hard that is? Do you really know how hard that is to have someone that you love, trust, and you busting your gun for? You know what I mean? And you busting your gun for gonna turn around and testify against you? You know how much that hurt? Let's take that off, man. Do you know? Listen, I sat there and I watched. Let's ride. I sat there and I watched my co-defendant that I put in multiple calls, put thousands of dollars in his pockets, go up there and tell about houses that I bought my mother, where they wanted to have my mother put out of her house and put in jail after I've done all that for them. Could you imagine how that hurt? Well, I could imagine how Sean is hurt now after he done allegedly, bust his gun, fired in the air to keep them up off of Diddy, trying to make sure that Diddy got up out of there, all right? Then they get in a little situation, and now, they go to court, and Diddy pointing the finger at him, saying that, had witnesses saying that he's the one that bust off. Yo, that's low, man. I know that hurt, that hurt, that hurt, that hurt. Ain't no other word for it, but that hurt, man. All right, let's finish this up.
"He pretty much sent me to prison." While the former artist said he forgave the mogul and moved on, he acknowledged Diddy's efforts to help promote education in Belize, but has distanced himself from his former mentor. He said, "This is not someone who I vacation with, and I enjoyed this great intimate relationship of brotherhood. This is someone who destroyed my life." When asked about Diddy's freak-offs that were mentioned in Diddy's indictment and previous lawsuits, Shine replied in part, "I have nothing to do with Sean Combs' personal life. Everything was strictly on a professional level." Shine went on to say, "Do I take any satisfaction in what he is going through? Absolutely not."
See, if you've been to prison and you went through the heartache and loneliness that we went through in prison, you wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy, but you know that God will take care of him. So everything that Diddy's going through right now is nothing more than karma. The extent of his trauma will determine the extent of his trauma. Do you understand that? Or should I say karma? Let's get this thing moving.
Diddy and Shine's relationship seemed amicable in the recent years. The two performed together last year in Europe, and in August of last year, just 3 months before Cassie's jaw-dropping lawsuit was filed, which arguably signaled the beginning of the end for the mogul, Diddy posted this photo to his Instagram page with him and Shine. The caption reads, quote, "Words cannot explain how proud I am of Shine. It's truly remarkable to see everything he's gone through and to see him turn his life totally around and get on the path to making a positive impact on his country and his people. His re-election is a major victory for him, hip-hop globally, and the people of Belize. Next stop, Prime Minister's office. We're not going to stop until my brother is the Prime Minister. I believe in you. I love you. I'm proud of you, Shine." But while appearing cordial on the surface, it wasn't the first time Shine has spoken out on the nightclub shooting. In a 2022 episode of Drink Champs, Shine said at the time he didn't blame Diddy for the conviction as much as he did in the past, and said he even went through a stage of bitterness. He explained at the time, in retrospect, he blamed the conviction more on the lawyers who were advising Diddy. During the trial, Diddy's legal team was composed of high-profile lawyers, including Johnny Cochran, who famously worked on the O.J. Simpson case. Shine added Diddy's lawyers were there to secure a not guilty verdict by any means. During Shine's trial, Diddy's high-profile lawyers did not work on his then protege's case. During that 2022 episode of Drink Champs, Shine said Diddy was a $100 million corporation at the time, and his team looked at Shine as the enemy. He explained that both of them were about to lose everything, but added he didn't have as much, and Diddy is a musician with an empire. Shine said when your lawyers are misleading and misguiding you, that's how everything fell apart.
All right, let me explain that to you, right? Let me come up here to the big screen, man. Let me explain this to you, right? Let me explain this to you. When you get in that bag, right, and you in the streets, so you youngins know that's going out there. If you get knocked and your boss get knocked, you claim the weight. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. You go down for your boss because if you go to jail, nothing is lost. If your boss go to jail, everything is lost. Let me ride and explain that. Diddy company worth $100 million. Sean trying to be a part of the $100 million. So if Diddy was to go to jail, Bad Boy would have folded, and we wouldn't have had everything that we have now that came after Shine and Diddy getting arrested back in 1995, if that's the year it was. You know, you rat bastards is gonna come jump in to correct me anyway. I can't stand you rat bastards. But anyway, let me calm down. But this is what's going on. You have to claim the weight, man. You know what I mean? If you in the car, your boss in the car, and you get pulled over, gun get found in the car, drugs get found in the car, you as the protege is obligated to stand up as a man and say, no, boss, I'm your soldier. I'll claim it and do the 10 years. And I won't come out and blame you for anything. Things changed, time changed, 4 walls came in to play. You already know what happened. So bottom line is Sean did what he was supposed to do from a street level back then. If he would have went to jail, that would have been taking the head off. So him as the tail trying to get on, he wound up claiming it. Let's keep it moving.
Shine said Diddy apologized and told him he shouldn't have listened to his lawyers, and Shine forgave him. The 1999 nightclub shooting has renewed interest in the wake of Diddy's legal issues and subsequent sex trafficking arrest. In March, one of the nightclub shooting victims, Natanya Rubin, said in an interview with News Nation it was Diddy who shot her in the face that night. She said she was facing Diddy and his crew when they pulled out their guns and she saw Diddy shoot her in the face. That claim struck a chord with Shine, who previously told reporters just this year it opens wounds when you hear the victim saying that it was Diddy that shot her. That was what was most remarkable. Then in an interview 2 months ago, Rubin alleged Diddy placed a bounty on her head after the shooting, which forced her to uproot her life. In an interview published by The Art of Dialogue, the Brooklyn native claimed a confidential informant told the district attorney's office there was a bag on her head, forcing her to leave for her own safety. The 99 shooting was also mentioned in Rodney Jones Jr.'s lawsuit against Diddy. Jones alleged Diddy bragged about using Jennifer Lopez to smuggle the gun into the club and claimed J-Lo passed Diddy the gun after he got into an altercation with Scar. Through attorneys, Diddy has denied Jones's allegations and have not responded to Rubin's claims. It's unlikely their allegations into the 99 shooting will prompt another investigation. But after Diddy's sex trafficking arrest last week, a federal judge did rule to keep the disgraced mogul in jail until trial, in part due to allegations he has tampered with witnesses in the past.
See, and that's why Diddy's lawyer asked for a speedy trial. Because by the time they look through 8 terabytes, 90 terabytes, whatever it is, the terabytes keep going up. Like I said, if y'all don't know what a terabyte is like the Empire State Building filled with papers. They say they got 93 Empire State Buildings filled with video footage and archive. And they got to look through it. So his lawyer did the right thing by forcing a speedy trial, so they won't have enough time to look through everything. But what they're going to do is they're going to drop a superseding indictment. The superseding indictment will be dropped before November 2nd. Watch what I tell you. The superseding indictment will be dropped before November 2nd. Sit back, enjoy the ride, and listen so you learn and don't get caught up on all this. Go register to vote if you're not registered. If you're already registered to vote, go vote. Let's get this thing popping. All right?
He pleaded not guilty to charges including racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. And the hip-hop mogul will remain in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn awaiting trial. This is a great time to bring on a great guest, and that's attorney Offie Patterson. Offie, thank you so much for being here. Now, Diddy's been making headlines once again in the wake of his arrest last week. While a lot of famous faces have been relatively quiet, one person previously signed to Bad Boy Records did come out and kind of speak against his former mentor, and that's Shine. What's your reaction to him saying that Diddy ruined his life?
I think that I saw a few clips of him talking about it, and I just felt like he was able to finally exhale. I think he felt vindicated, and I think he just went back to his 21, 22-year-old self and just gave himself a handshake and a hug. And I think he just felt like just saying, finally. He started with, he was a very, very talented teenager. There was a bidding war to acquire his talent, and he ended up choosing Bad Boy. And I think what he meant by ruin my life was he felt that he ruined his life. He had a promising future. He was a 19-year-old kid when he signed on with Bad Boy, and he's looking at the course of his life and what happened in the course of about 3 or 4 years, and he feels like that part of his life, of course, was ruined.
What did you make of Diddy and Shine's relationship prior to the shooting?
I think it was probably a relationship of employer employee, mentor mentee. I think for Shine, in addition to those two relationships, he probably looked at him as a big brother, somebody that he could learn from and someone he could grow with. And, I think it was probably definitely for Shine a deep relationship. I think Puffy, we've always seen him as a businessman. And I think, his relationship was definitely, definitely business. May have been a little paternal, who knows? But for Puffy, I think it was very much so priority one business.
And what did you make of their relationship after the trial? Now, Shine was sent to prison. He was sentenced to 10 years. However, Diddy and his bodyguard, Anthony Wolf, were acquitted on all charges. Do you think that the mogul used him as a pawn when it comes to what was going on during the trial and even the aftermath?
In the aftermath, I think we saw there was a little bit of acrimony. There was, of course, Shine was frustrated because he was sentenced to some serious time, and Puffy and his bodyguard, I think Wolf was, they were both acquitted. So of course there's going to be a little bit of frustration there on one side. Um, whether he used him as a pawn, I really don't know, but I do know that during the trial, rereading some of the transcripts and some of the coverage at the time, I was wondering why their trials weren't severed. Something that Shine said, which was interesting, was he believed that Puffy's exposure, and by that I mean what he could have been sentenced to if found guilty, his exposure was minimum. He believed that he could have been on papers, which is, probation if you're convicted. Whereas Shine's charges, they were going to always carry prison time. Shine had
Nah, 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 nah. That's false. That's false. Stop it. You don't get caught with a gun and get papers in New York. They got a mandatory 1 year sentence in New York with a gun. Let me clarify that for some fact checking before we go any further.
a juvenile criminal record, and we saw that during the sentencing phase of the trial after he was convicted. They read out his juvenile record. They even read, some lyrics from some of his songs. So, I think that Shine always felt that there was some inequality there. And Shine even talked about the fact that, Puffy put on a witness that basically exonerated Puffy and drove a nail in the coffin in Shine's case. And I think, he felt like he was a little bit of a pawn. And I think, Elizabeth, you and I have talked about this before. Sean was a young person. He didn't have a huge coffer. Who was paying for his criminal defense? I know Shine's defense attorney said that the checks came from him, but who was paying Shine? Who recommended the attorneys? Where did these attorneys' loyalties lie? That's probably what Shine was thinking.
And Shine has long maintained he didn't shoot the victims. I think back during the trial, he said that he just fired the weapon up into the air, but didn't actually shoot any of the victims. And one of the shooting victims, Natanya Rubin, has claimed Diddy was actually the one who shot her. Given the totality of what's happening now, do you think their allegations have more substance, given Diddy has been accused of paying off witnesses and using his money and power to essentially get what he wants?
So I think we've been told that definitely during the trial, one witness made a statement to police officers the night of the shooting, but when he got on the stand during direct, he completely changed his story. He was challenged on cross examination, and he admitted, "Oh yeah, I did change my story." We've seen recently when Don Richard made her. Well, when her filing became public, we found out during Diddy's bail hearing that he called, I think, Kalina, someone that was working with Don, 54 times in one day. And we've heard that he often calls people over and over again. And there's been, witness intimidation recently. So why wouldn't we believe that there's been some sort of witness intimidation like that might be his history, that might be his pattern, excuse me. So
Mo.
it's definitely believable.
And we've spoken also previously about the 99 shooting. And I remember you saying at the time you didn't think an investigation would reopen into the shooting. But given his arrest, do you think it's possible witnesses from either the shooting or the trial who have allegedly been paid off by Combs could come forward? And if so, would that be used against him in the sex trafficking case?
I think that's dead. I think that's done. It's all been put to rest.
Hmm.
Are you surprised that celebrities haven't come forward to denounce Diddy in the wake of his arrest?
No, I said this the other day. A hit dog hollers, be quiet. Like, what do you expect people to say?
Thank you.
We talk about, other celebrities and people have come forward. From my recollection, I don't remember people coming forward to necessarily denounce the person who's been accused. I do recall them, or what sticks in my mind is people coming forward to say, shame on them. I too have been victimized by this person, or this is my experience with that person. And I think we've been seeing that in the forms of these lawsuits, and for me as a person who's been following this case, I've definitely seen it in the blogs, and it's been not from necessarily people who have major names, major gravitas, but victims, real people, people who've been close to him, people who've worked for him. They've been ringing the alarm a lot recently, since the Ventura filing in November of last year, but just throughout all this time, they've been ringing the alarm. So I think, and they're just as valid as these huge names that people are looking for. And what's kind of frustrating to me is people are looking for these huge names to denounce Diddy. Why? I think these smaller name people, are these ordinary citizens off the street, or these people who have been impacted by him. They're just as valuable, just as worthy.
And are you surprised that, I've we've spoken a number of times about the Diddy cases and in the lawsuits that he has faced previously, but are you surprised this is actually all culminated in an arrest and that Diddy is actually behind bars now as we speak?
No, I knew it was coming. Probably the first quarter, I knew it was coming. Definitely knew it was coming when his homes were raided. Because how it works on the federal level, it's not. There's a difference with the state and the federal level when you want to get a search warrant. Usually on the state level, it's enough if you have a detective signing off, on a sworn affidavit, going to a judge saying, "Hey, I need this information." But on the federal level, a federal judge, he wants something from an assistant U.S. attorney. So once you have, once you're in the crosshairs of an assistant U.S. attorney, they're not going to stop. It's so I just knew this arrest was coming. I am surprised that the charges basically mirror um, Cassie's lawsuit. I definitely thought there would be much more. I thought there would be definitely more financial crimes. I thought that it would just be a little bit more expansive. So I do think that it's pretty narrow and interesting, even though they say the investigation is ongoing. I thought it would be a lot more.
And do you expect that someone like Shine, who was even previously just signed to Bad Boy Records, that he could testify in the sex trafficking case? Do you think that's at all a possibility?
I don't know because it was so long ago, and I think that they gave uh, the AUSA gave the scope of time that they're looking at, and his affiliation with him, his intimate knowledge of him, and his whereabouts, his comings and goings, and his practices. That was kind of severed, between '99 and 2002. So I'm going to say it's highly unlikely. And I don't think he needs to be involved in it. I think again, him. what he said, he was satisfactory for him. I think he felt vindicated, and I think that it's just given his young self so much peace.
Yeah, so that's where it's at, man, just so you understand. Diddy went from this to sitting in MDC, Brooklyn, locked in 23 hours a day, no more people flattening your flat top, the fancy, the drinks, Ellen DeGenerate. I mean, he was living a life, $68 million yacht, as you see behind me. Imagine from that to a jail cell. Picture that. Imagine from that to a jail cell. Life is not a joke. Don't throw it away trying to be something that you're not. Don't try to enter into a world that you're not ready for. Because like I said, if you get caught up with the boss, he owns some rock companies, De Leon companies, Aqua companies and kit deals and everything else. And look at him. If he go to jail, everything is lost. But his job when Shine went to jail was supposed to take care of Shine and his family. It wasn't to put a nail in the coffin, as they said earlier. It wasn't to do none of that. But that's what it is when you out there. You playing by the rules. You know what I mean? You do anything to what we call in the streets, protect the connect. You know how they say protect your neck? Well, the connect is your neck because that's what keeps you afloat. So you protect the connect at all times. That's why Shine took the gun, because Shine was playing by the street code. He's no longer a part of the street code. He's dealing with the prime minister and trying to run for political office. So therefore, there's a lot of things that he sees differently now. And I hope you young people see it differently as well, to know, to listen to the words of Unique Mecca Audio. Don't get involved. You want that big, fancy $68 million yacht. You want to be sailing the Mediterranean. You want to be looking like Diddy, Don't do Diddy's alleged actions. And you ain't got to worry about it. Look at that yacht, man. Look at this yacht behind me. This is how this man was living, and now he's sitting in a jail cell. Just so you fully understand what we're talking about. This is not nice, man. This is just the real, how it is, and I want y'all to fully understand that life is not a joke. All right? Now, been on here long enough. Hit the subscription button if you're not subscribed, and the notification button. If you're already subscribed, hit the notification button. Cop the book of Raw in Harlem. Keep this party moving. Share these videos. Look how Diddy was living. Like I said, the biggest yacht on the ocean, and now he's sitting in a jail cell 23 hours a day. If that's what you want for yourself, y'all keep doing what you're doing, because they got plenty of room for you, and they ain't got no problem putting you where you need to go. Now, I just want to say this, right? Can you believe they brought all of this artillery and firepower for a man's actual desires? Look how they run down on a alleged freak. You know what I mean? This is where the government money is going to. But it's going to pay for itself, because they're going to rape him of everything that he owned, so it will be balancing out. Like I said, been on here long enough. All right.
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
What?
Fresh out the can of 26, yeah. He back on the strip, getting back in the mix. Yeah. What he mentions a gift. Right. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Real. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Yeah. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Real. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops. Mecca Audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top Beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spin a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. Baby horn uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, we got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend a ear. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community ours. So we can give back to the